All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So I will not be able to make any live stock videos for the next few days. So what I am doing is pre-recording Knowledge Center videos, okay? This is a viewer request. Actually, most of the time, the viewer requests are stock videos, but this is my trading career, and I got a good little 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is basically going to be the view we go through. So we start with, I was bad. I was capital A, B, A, I'm spelling it horribly, right? But capital bad, all right? From there, I made my way through, and I do think a lot of it too being technical analysis. And even at the end, when I got greedy and I was bad, there was still some good from it because I learned, all right? So I'm excited to just give you my honest progression from, like I said, bad to something sustainable, all right? And I'm not here to call myself good, right? Like, hey, knock on wood, I'm better than the average bear, right? But yeah. I don't call myself good because, yeah, I'm telling you, I'm still learning. I still make mistakes. Things happen, right? I don't want you to think because I'm on here, you're, blah, blah, blah. All right, but let's get into it. And one more time, if you have any requests, let me know. But look, we're going to start at the top with number one, being bad. I was losing a lot of money when I made very little. So what does that mean? All right, look, first, like, if you've watched my videos, you've heard me, like, I love my parents, all right? I love my dad. I love my mom. I'm very, very lucky with the parents I had, all right? They gave me a whole mess of confidence. They gave me a whole mess of love and support. But yeah, neither of them were stock traders. Like, it's not like they gave me the ability to move money in the market, right? Like, I really knew absolutely nothing about the stock market. And the one cool thing is there's a bunch of like 18-year-olds in the Discord group, and like they're all super respectful. I love the younger people on the group. Like they crush it as well, right? But yeah, I didn't have the luxury of like, being even curious about it at an early age, right? So I didn't actually start trading until I got a job, and a coworker was basically telling me about how he moves money. I had never heard of an online brokerage account. I had never heard of, buy and sell and, trend line this and like, let alone technical analysis or anything like moving averages, right? Like all of that was just beyond foreign. Like I'm telling you, I knew nothing about the market, right? But yeah, my buddy basically said, he was putting some money per paycheck into the market, and lo and behold, it was doing well. And hey, if you know much about the market essentially was going completely up, all the way until like 2020, give or take, 2019, arguably, right? So it wasn't very hard back in the day to actually make some good money, even if you didn't know what you were doing, all right? And sadly, I didn't know what I was doing, and I was making bad money still, which I'll get to shortly, right? But yeah, I open my account, I start putting in very little money because I was making very little money, right? Like, yeah, knock on wood, I've got a degree and stuff, but it's not like I got out of college and all of a sudden I had this like crazy baller job and like money flowing in. No, I was making nothing and a half, you know what I mean? So like there was money I was putting in the market at a time when I was not making any money. Like going back to what this says, this is not, I was not making a lot for a good, decent period of my career, and sadly, I should have just been putting my money right there, right into the fire. Because like, what was I doing? I was buying a lot of hype stocks, right? Like, I sincerely believed weed was going to become legal by now. And like, this is again back in like 2015, maybe, give or take, 2014, something like that, right? Like a decade ago, roughly speaking, right? I've probably been moving money in the market for roughly 10 years. Most of that has been horrible, you know what I mean? But yeah, I was buying weed stocks that I thought were like so cheap and like, let's do it. And some of the weed stocks were actually doing really well. And it was like, it was almost like a fool's thing because I was like actually making some money because like I said, the market was going up and you didn't have to be good and like, it made me believe I should throw in more and like it was a fool's thing. Like I wasn't making right calls sustainably. Like I was simply getting lucky, getting overly confident by getting lucky, and it just, when I say sustainable, it all caught up to me. That's the thing. Like it caught up. I've mentioned one single stock a few times. Ianthus. All right, Ianthus. Back in the day, look, you can tell I started chart readers with zero everything, right? Like I am so, as a person, I am so out of the social network world. It's like embarrassing actually. Like I don't have an Instagram personally. I don't have a Snapchat, a TikTok, or like I don't do any of that stuff before any of this, all right? What I did have was Facebook, and there was a weed group that I was in, and then there was a secondary group that was dedicated to this Ianthus stock. And the one thing you'll hear me say, not on every video, but on certain stocks especially, like I'm not a fanboy because I got burned by fanboys. All right, I was in this Ianthus group. Everyone kept talking about like buying more shares, buying more shares, buying more shares. It made me feel like I needed to catch up and buy more shares. It's one of the big reasons I don't let people, and when I say I don't let people, like I appreciate so much that people actually listen to that. Like, I can say don't do anything and y'all can give me the finger and like, but like people are really respectful. I'm gonna at least say it again right now why. But like, dude, don't let people, I don't like it when people talk about share counts and like stuff like that, because listen, I was there when I can barely afford a few. And when someone's throwing out these big numbers, it gets me like hungrier than I should be. It makes me overreach more than I should. And I'm telling you, people were talking about like having 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 shares. I'm sitting here with like 400, and man, it made me put in way too much into this one ticker that like all these people kept throwing all these amazing fundamental due diligence on. And again, for a minute, it was making money too, right? But then it stopped making money, but no one was willing to accept it, right? And like, oh, dude, it crushed me. It crushed me badly. And truth be told, I learned nothing from it because I actually repeated that a few more times. And that is almost where chapter 1 ends. And like, I'm not done with it just yet, but like, I don't know what made me go from this number 1 to number 2. Like, I don't know when I like stopped believing in the hype and started doing my own homework, but I swear it was not on the first mistake. I legit was following these fanboys. I was following these people that sounded like a better stock trader than me. Dude, they didn't know much. And it's really why I keep kind of like stressed, like I'm not here to like brag about when I'm right, or like I don't want you to like over anticipate how good I am or anything like that. Like, dude, I'm just a regular guy, all right? Like I didn't quite look like this when I was a baby, right? But like, dude, I was a little one of these little babies too, right? And there's this little thing doesn't know about stocks, and you know what I mean? I unfortunately didn't know about stocks till a lot later, right? But yeah, just I have been burned by a lot of the things that I am never gonna be. You know what I mean? Because dude, when you nothing's financial advice, we all know that, but like when you put a little too much emphasis on a single person's thoughts, horrible things happen. All right, so at some point I stopped listening to others, and I started doing some smarter fundamental. All right, I knew good fundamental analysis well before technical analysis. Dude, I didn't know anything yet about moving averages, MACD, RSI. I didn't pay attention to volume. Like I'm telling you, I knew nothing about TA just yet, but I started doing better fundamental. All right. And what did that mean? All right. I actually started listening to earnings calls. I actually started listening to past earnings calls to get an anticipation of guidance and to start, giving my expectations about what's going to come on the next earnings. I started reading releases. I started actually doing that for complex things that I didn't know. I was trading some pharmaceuticals that I actually believed in. That again, I did some good fundamentals because I saw that they had very little debt. I saw that they had a number of things in the pipeline. I saw that they were like the industry standard and like the industry lead, and it's like, I was doing the fundamental things that, like, do people well. For sure it does, right? The problem was, though I was doing smarter fundamental, I wasn't making good money. Now, the bleeding had stopped. I was not losing a lot, capital a lot, right? But I wasn't making money just yet. And, in some way, look, at the very minimum, I'm more than confident saying that this step alone took me from the red, horrible, color to this, like, in the middle, right? Like, when I do my stock tickers, red is bad, this is, you need a little bit more, and then, hey, we're now good, right? So this was important. Smarter fundamentals, making my own decisions, not listening to these, like, random experts, like, it did me well. It started to patch some holes in the sinking ship. I'm now starting to float. The problem was I was still just subject to the currents. All right, and I hope that that analogy makes sense. But like, I was not in control of a lot of things because I do believe that fundamental has a certain limitation to it. And I think a lot of it also is just who I am as a person. Look, I say it as a joke a lot, but I am a crackhead gambler. Like, I actually say that phrase a lot more to remind myself than to hopefully make you giggle. You know what I mean? But like, my mama, she used to buy me scratchers when I was a little kid. And like, when I'm saying little kid, I'm talking a little bit older than this thing right here, right? Like, there wasn't a lot of technology. Like, I'm not like super old, right? But like, the internet wasn't the internet when I was a kid, right? And like, I was playing these like really OG, like video poker and like video, blackjack. And when I say video, I'm talking like a handheld Game Boy kind of thing, but like for adults, you know what I mean? And like, I was a little kid who gambled, and I'm still that. Like, I make these roulette references because I love roulette. I love seeing that ball roll. I love having my money on the table. I love that. I'm telling you, like, I am a gambler, all right? And for me, stopping the bleeding was great, but it wasn't enough. All right. And maybe if I stayed on the fundamental track, maybe some things would have been different. I actually like at times wonder that, and again, because if you're going to play the fundamental game, you almost need to ignore the daily, the weekly, the monthly movement, right? Like, you're here for the years if you're playing fundamental, because again, business is a slow moving train. Yes, there's a couple that have a little bit more coal than others and this and that, right? But end of the day, it takes a while for businesses to move along, keep chugging along, and eventually, buy out or take over, right? So maybe that smarter fundamental would have done me differently if I didn't pivot so hard. But I was ready to pivot, okay? And I learned some technical analysis from a person that really knew their stuff. All right, like I am. It's one of the reasons why I don't share my the one. It's even why I don't even share my the two. The two is obviously my own little thing, right? But a lot of it really does come from like this original source that I got it, and I'm very respectful of all that. But end of the day, once I learned technical analysis, my game changed. One of the problems, in my opinion, with fundamental analysis is if you're going to put your money in the stock, you kind of like freeze it there, right? And almost even as it goes up, you're not even supposed to take it out because that's the goal, right? It's supposed to just keep going and going and going and going, right? So if you want to buy something else, it's really hard to pull money from something you've done so much deep fundamental analysis in. What you end up having to do is put new money in. all right? And that's what was happening to me back when I was in that number 2 smarter fundamental. Yeah, I was making some smarter fundamental moves, but the problem is I had a list of like 25 stocks that I thought were great fundamentals, and like, dude, I did not have the money at this time, and I still kind of don't, right? Like, I'm not trying to pretend I'm like super crazy baller, but like, yeah, I did not have the money at the time to put my money in 25 stocks, even though that's what I was doing. And like, I couldn't pull my money out because I had done such good due diligence that, like, why would I take my money out, right? It forced me to keep putting money in, keep putting money in, keep putting money in, technical analysis helps me make these, like, dude, just sell it decisions and not bat an eye. It's everyone talks about like BlackRock and this and that, right? These like super algorithms. This is even before AI got like crazy popular over the last couple of years, right? But like, there are systematic machines that are trading for these big billion-dollar funds, right? And the way that they're doing it is by programmatic movements, right? Like, it's not like someone's just sitting there and clicking. Maybe some of the money is, maybe, but like, if I ran a billion-dollar fund, I wouldn't trust some human. I would just build some computers, right? I'd get the smartest people to build them. Obviously you need some humans, right? But you get the point. So to me, technical analysis allowed me to do that. It allowed me to make these robotic decisions of just sell or just buy without taking the time to do the due diligence, without taking the time to like consider the emotional decisions of should I or should I not, or like what happened. No, like, you've got some indicators, you make some moves and you go. All right. And again, one of the things I talk about is our chart reader view, the one I use on every single video. Look, it's basic. And I say that proudly, right? Like, that's a super basic stack. But if you can get comfortable with that, you can consider adding more. And I use the word consider right there because, again, sometimes keep it simple is the best thing you can do, right? Yeah, more indicators, more information. I obviously believe that because I have the 1 and the 2. But hey, sometimes more becomes overwhelming. And like, yeah, if you just looked at a couple simple things, you could have made some simpler decisions, right? But nonetheless, I got really good. Okay, I actually got to a point, and it's funny because I started the video by saying I'm not going to say I'm really good. So I swear that was not intentional. But I got to a place where I made some crazy money actually, and like, dude, I could have done so much more with it, but I didn't because I got greedy. I actually started to believe I could make more and more and more and more. All right, and that took me to this. I got too greedy. When I say I lost a lot of money, I lost a very high 5-figure number. Now, to some, that's nothing. Even if that high 5-figure was 99,999, right? Like, to some, they're moving 100K plus all the time, right? To others, that's, believe me, a crazy number. Like, I still believe it is now, right? So, like, that's also another reason why I don't like talking about money. But, like, yeah, I got so greedy that I lost a crazy substantial amount of money. And the sad thing was, it's not like I lost it in like 3 days. It was a very, 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 very slow and dragged on death. And it was so painful because I would lose 5%, be like, it's okay, I can catch it. Lose 5%, it's okay, I can catch it. Lose 3%, it's okay, I can catch it. Gain 2, all right, perfect, here we go. Lose 5%, lose 3, and it was just this like little hit, little hit, little hit, little hit, little hit, little hit, but then it just added up, and lo and behold, I was looking at just like this like a stock, crazy up and crazy down. And you know, the best thing that could have happened to me was this, because I just, dude, I didn't let the moment overtake me. I learned the importance of sustainability, and I learned to respect some rules. And oh man, this what could have been a horrible thing that like really could have devastated me out of trading, like it really shaped who I became. Look, you know, I talked about it. I wasn't like bragging about it, but I paid for a vacation with my wife completely on stock withdrawal profits. From the flight to the hotels to the food to the souvenirs, every minute here to there and back, all stock profit. And that is more because of these sustainable little moves than it is these crazy rockets. Like, the game isn't catch the rocket, man. If that's your game, oh, that's so hard to sustain. But yeah, if you can catch some nice healthy moves as often as you can, compounded over your trading career, oh man, your life's going to be way better than most. All right, so I appreciate your time. Let me know if you have any requests for videos. Otherwise, hey, I hope the Chargers win this game. I hope I didn't lose any Cowboys fans by just saying that. I appreciate your time so much. Thank you.